I'm Jay, and this is my hetero life mate, Mojito.
Oh, hey, what's up, man? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 4 of Mojito with Mojito. And today I'm joined with the living legend, JayMewes himself, who you may know from Jay and Silent Bob, all of those incredible movies. And that was such an iconic role that he plays in. And man, it's really nice to have you here.
I
How have you been?
appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm like I said, I just been we've been really trying to focus. I've been trying to focus on my stand-up comedy. I have some shows coming up. I actually leave Wednesday to go to Phoenix, Arizona, to go do some stand-up, and then I go to Spokane, Washington. But yeah, I've been like taking care, it's I gotta say, like, I realized even just when we were trying to set this up, the chat, like between traveling for the shows, and trying to take care of things that everyday errands, and having two kids, man, it's life has definitely been different in the past couple years for me. Even I have my daughter's 9, so I've been a dad for 9 years, over 9 years. But adding that second one, and it always baffles me when, like, we have a friend at school who has 4 kids, this woman, and every time I see her bring the kids to school, 3 of them go to school where my daughter goes to school. She has a young one that's not in school yet, but every time I see her dropping the kids off, and she has all 4 of them, I'm just like, wow, like, I can't imagine, because even with 2, for me, it's just like I feel like it's nonstop. Like, he has to go to get his checkup. My daughter has to go to ballet, and all of that. But that being said, you asked how I'm doing. I'm saying it's good. It's been really good. I feel, honestly, I feel blessed. Me and my wife were talking about it today. Um, because we have like 3 friends who have kids, and all 3 of them have had in vitro, because one reason or another. And I just was saying how lucky, we are that my wife and I were able to have 2 kids, you know, uh, and every, knock on wood, they're healthy. Right now, they're healthy and everything's good. So yeah,
Man, I'm really proud of you. I mean, even Kevin himself
thanks.
said that you're the greatest dad he has ever met. So it's really nice to hear all of these touching stories of you and your dad life. So that's really nice to hear. I was just wondering, have
Thank
you
you.
ever had any difficulties with your balancing with your personal life and your work life and your stand-up comedy
Uh,
or movies?
yeah. No, I mean, no, it's been. I feel like the good thing is that luckily I've been able to make. I feel like, for the most part, my personal life is very. I mean, if you're talking about like the characters I play and all that, and doing my stand up and what I talk about, I feel like the good thing is I've been able to, most of my content, whether it's my characters for a bunch of my movies. I know I've done other characters, other indie movies, and my stand up. A lot of it is my storytelling, and it's me playing me and Jay as Jay when I'm doing Kevin's movies, and when I'm doing stand up, I'm telling stories about my life. So I've been able to incorporate the two together. I would say the only problem is where they interfere, maybe, is it gets harder and harder for me to leave. You would think it would get easier and easier because I'd get used to it, and my kids would get used to it. But I feel like it's really hard for me now, where to leave town for, you know, luckily, normally it's about 3 days to 4 days, but every once in a while, like, I have a trip that's going to be coming up in October where I'm gone like 10 days. And it's really hard because I miss my kids. I feel like they miss me. And then my wife, of course, I'm leaving her home alone with 2 kids, and she has to try to work and balance out driving, driving my daughter to school and ballet and different activities when my son is home. So just, I would say that's the biggest thing, is trying to balance out when I leave town, um, and leaving the wife home alone and missing my kids. But yeah, I hope that, I know that was 2 different answers, but I hopefully one of those answered. the question.
Yeah, no, it definitely worked out. I
Mm.
mean, there's no way we cannot talk about Jay and Silent Bob. The new Jay and Silent Bob movie was announced, Jay and Silent Bob Store Wars. And I know
Yeah.
that you and Kevin will be starting to shoot soon. So I was wondering, who is your dream actor to work with in a Jay and Silent Bob movie?
Well, you know what? I feel I've been very blessed and lucky to have worked with so many people that I've already wanted to work with. And like Ben, I've gotten to work with George Carlin, Alan Rickman, Chris Rock, uh, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, like so many people that I've got to work with that I've been so like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm working with Will Ferrell, Will Ferrell, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher. So I feel like I've been there, but so I feel like I've already been lucky enough, but I feel like someone that pops in my head, I don't know. I really like Jason Momoa as a character. Like I really like his Lord I was about to say Lord of the Rings. Game of Thrones character. Of course
Yeah,
he's awesome as Aquaman, but I don't know. I've met him a couple of times. He seems like an awesome dude. Him or Vincent D'Onofrio. Definitely, you know what? Let me go back. Jason Momoa is definitely up there because I met him and he's a nice dude and I love the characters he's played. But honestly, I thinking about it more is Vincent D'Onofrio because I'm such a big Law and Order fan, Criminal Intent, and then of course Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin was amazing. So I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't mind working with him. I wouldn't mind working with Momoa. But I don't really have those vibes when we do a movie. Of course, I'll get excited if we get to work with this person or that person. Um, because again, but I feel like I would never want to push for it because I feel like I would hate to work with someone and have a bad experience with them.
yeah.
I've been lucky enough; I have never had a bad experience. And again, throwing out a couple more people I didn't mention, which Stan Lee. Um, I mean, it's really blows my. It even when I'm saying it out loud, it really like takes me aback and blows my mind that people I've got to work with. Danny Trejo a bunch of times, who's a friend of mine now because we've worked together so much and we've stayed in touch and we're friends. Uh, I've been super lucky on how many cool people I've worked with and how pleasant they've been. I honestly have not worked with anybody that I've been like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm working with this. But like they're being so mean or they're so horrible or I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to set today. I have a big scene with so and so and they're horrible. I haven't had that luckily. I know you hear stories about that, but I feel like I've been pretty lucky and everyone. I mean, I definitely have had experiences where some people are super outgoing and they want to talk to you in between takes and between at lunch or whatever. And then there's people I've worked with who are nice, but they might come to set, do their scene, go to their trailer. At lunchtime, they sit in their trailer and they don't really, come out and try to engage. But still, I don't blame them. I get like that sometimes. I'll be on a set and I'll just go, I might be in the mood to watch TV while I eat lunch. So I don't want to sit out with at lunch with a bunch of people chatting. I'll be like, oh, I want to go watch this movie. I'm
Yeah.
gonna finish it or whatever. So, but yeah, so I would say let's say Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, I have a few, but we'll say Vincent D'Onofrio is probably my top guy.
You know, when you said Vincent D'Onofrio, I found the perfect role for him. Like Jay's father or lost uncle or something, like someone
Yeah,
related
that'd
to
be
Jay and
cool.
Silent Bob. That would be really
Yeah, yeah,
funny.
yeah. That would
And
be cool. Yeah, like if all of a sudden, like, I mean, again, I don't know, we could sit here and come up with, but it would be cool. Like in the next movie, if like all of a sudden we finally find out like where Jay and Silent Bob crash sometimes, because you never see actually a house where we live or anything. So maybe we could be like, hey, this is my uncle, Vincent, and this is where we stay most of the time in his basement. I don't know.
man, you know, you actually predicted one of my questions. I was legit gonna ask like later on, where do Jay and Silent Bob actually sleep? Because every time I watch those movies, I always think like, where do these guys ever sleep or like
Yeah.
crash it? And I
No,
was gonna
yeah,
ask
the
if you have any
Kevin's.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Kevin's really never written where they spend their downtime. Like it's like they're out in front of the store or they're out on an adventure or whatever, but never when they're home, where at nighttime when they leave hanging out in front of the store, where do they go rest their
Mm.
heads? So yeah, I think that could be a cool thing if we're like, finally we're gonna see where Jay and Bob stay when they're not out in front of the store or out on the road doing something crazy. So
Yeah, that would be really cool to finally get that answer.
yeah,
And horror movies also are not often talked about much with comedy actors. And but since I'm here with you, so why not? And then Scream 3, Jay and Silent Bob made a cameo in that movie. And Randy from Scream made a cameo in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So I want to ask,
yeah.
what do you think is your favorite Scream movie? And what do you think is your favorite horror movie in general?
Oh yeah, I don't. I want to say Scream 3 because we were in it, but I mean, again, the original one, I feel like that was something. Getting to see the first one and when it first came out, like how exciting it was to like see how it was sort of a fresh take. I feel like on the horror. So I would say we'll say the third one though because we're in it, right? But my favorite horror movie, I'm not a big I'm not necessarily a horror guy that watches tons of horror. Of course I've watched all the Friday 13th and Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I've watched Saw, which is really cool, and The Hills Have Eyes, and um, but I always say that way back in the day when I was younger, there was a horror movie my buddy and I watched over and over again. It was a movie called Blood Beach. It's an old horror movie. If you get a chance, try to see if you can find it. It's called Blood Beach.
I'll be sure to check it
Um,
out.
and it's such a goofy, like like I guess 80s. I guess it would be an 80s horror movie. But I like the Hellraiser movies that they're really creepy. Um, but yeah, I'm not a horror buff that I'm like, wow, like I love the Chucky movies or I love, I like all of them for what they are, and they're definitely, they put some scare in you. The Saw, I think definitely think the Saw movies were creative when they came out. Getting to see like, do you want to play? The whole contraptions
Did
and
you get to see the
ideas.
latest one?
I didn't. I haven't. It's a bummer. It's being with the kids. It's like when I get time to go to the movies, I always find that I'm like, oh, I can't go see this movie because I want to bring my kids. When we go out to the movies, it's usually me bringing Logan to go see a movie that it's appropriate for her. Otherwise, at this point, wait till the movie comes out on, streaming.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's fine for me, honestly. It's like I enjoy going to theater, of course, and seeing the big screen, and you getting to hear the rumble of the seats and stuff. But at this point, it's just tougher. I have to, I wait and go see, Inside Out too, or the other, movies that my kids can see. So yes, no, I have not seen Saw. I don't know if it's out on, if it's streaming right now, but I haven't really sat down and watched that one yet.
Yeah, it came out in digital though. And
Okay, cool.
the cameo you and Kevin did with Tommy Chong in that 90s show was just amazing. I mean, just seeing you guys in that show was just amazing. And I was just wondering, how did that all came to be?
Yeah, no, it was so much fun. It was my first time filming the show. Was so much fun because it was the first time to be part of the show, of course, was awesome. But also, I've never shot multi-camera before, so it was such a different experience for me, and it was so much fun. But it came about. They just reached out and they had the idea of hey, like I'm not sure. I don't want to, don't quote me on this, but I'm not sure if Tommy wanted to leave or what have you, and they felt like they wanted to replace that character, someone in that character. So I love the idea of how Kevin's plays his son, and we're there to take over the business and all of that. But yeah, it's just great. Someone in the producers writers room thought of Kevin and I, Jay and Bob, and was like, "Hey, we're not going to put Jay and Bob in for the rights of the Jay and Bob, but we want to make the characters very similar and put you guys in." And I was like, "That's awesome." sign me up. I was excited. I was hoping they would do more. You know, it's a bummer because they were thinking about writing, I said, one more episode. But when they were filming, it happened that we were out of town. Kevin and I were both out of town with previous commitments we already had made. So we really couldn't change them, even though I wanted to, because again, it was really exciting to be on the show. But I was like, please, I want to be on as many as I can. And hopefully we do well and the show does well. And if they do another season, hopefully they'll write us in more episodes. So we'll see. We
I
just
mean,
got to hope there's another season.
both of you played really legendary characters like Jane, Silent Bob, but in the show you weren't Jane, Silent Bob. But
No,
how
yeah.
was your reaction like when you actually got the news that you would be in a sitcom as those characters? I mean, similar to those characters.
Well, yeah. Well, first off, I was ecstatic as soon as they called up. Hey, we're trying to see if you're available for an episode. And at first we thought, oh, we're going to be in one episode, just quickly, you know. But we didn't have any idea what the characters' names were different, so we didn't even know what they were going to try to dress us like and all of that. So I didn't even know until we weren't there until we got into the hair and makeup and they're like, hey, they were hoping that you will wear this hat with this wig. Same with Kevin, and said, hey, we have these clothes, will you wear them? And and we're like, all right, well, this is technically the characters. And they're like, yes, they're not the characters, but we want you guys to be recognizable as the characters. So Kevin and I were like, let's do it. Like, it's awesome. Like, again, for someone, especially for a show that's this generation, and even though it's played for the 90s, but it's a streaming show and it's on Netflix, it's awesome. And I'm hoping that they hope they get another season, because I feel like the way they wrote us into the last season, I almost feel like they can't not write us in more. Doesn't mean it's 100%, but I'm hoping that if they pick up another season, it seems like they would write more episodes with our characters in it. So we'll see. But yes, as soon as I got the email saying, hey, they're interested, here's some dates. And I was like, well, what for? And they're like, they want to see if you're available to shoot a couple episodes. I was like, how many episodes? And they're like, well, right now they're thinking like maybe one or two. And I'm like, let's sign me up, So I was very excited.
Personally, a TV show I would like to see Jay and Silent Bob make a cameo in would be, I don't know if you heard of it, but it's called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And it's this
I know.
outrageous show. I think those two
Yes.
characters would be so perfect to fit in. And they're filming their last season 17. So they got to contact them somehow to be in the show.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I know the show. I haven't watched the whole show, but I know the show. I've heard of it. I know Kevin loves it. But yeah, I mean, I tell my agent person, I tell her all the time, I'm like, I love TV. I watch more TV than I watch movies. Excuse me, honestly. Like, if I have time, if I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and watch something to go to bed, it's 9 out of 10 times it's TV show. So I all the time am like, please, I like this show, this show, this show, this show, this show, this show. Like, I don't even have to be a main character. Just let me be like cop number 2 in, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Not that that's on anymore, but you know what I mean? Like, all the time I'm like, I like this show. Can you get me even a cameo in it? Because as a cop, as a bus driver, whatever, because I love the show so much, it would just be fun to be part of it, so.
Now on to conventions. Over the years, conventions in the Middle East have grown increasingly popular. And even back in 2017, Kevin Smith actually did a panel in Middle East here, and it's called Middle East Film and Comic Con, aka MEFCC. And he did a panel over Skype, but he was not able to come and travel, but he did a panel over Skype. So I was wondering, would you want to come to the UAE for MEFCC sometime? You and Kevin as like Jay and Silent Bob.
I would totally be down. Yeah, we've always, it's funny because we've talked about it before, but we're like, we have some we've not been invited there yet. And you know, we always we have the like fear of like, I wonder what if we would have um you know, if we came to a convention there, would it be that would people be interested? And who, I mean, I haven't been to a con out there, so I don't know. I'm assuming they bring out people like, I don't know, what's one of the, do they have a like, do you know of in your neighborhood what's a specific comic convention there? Is there a big one? Like you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah.
the
It's called Middle East Film
oh
and Comic Con, and they bring
oh,
huge
that's what it's called.
celebrities.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they
Really?
bring
Yeah.
huge
And
celebrities
how
like
many people
Oscar
show up,
Isaac,
what do you think?
like millions probably. Like just it's a
Yeah.
huge, huge crowd. And like
Oh,
it's been
nice.
growing increasingly popular. So it'd be really nice to see you and Kevin come sometime. So
I would be down. I mean, we just got to, you know, if you wind up getting a hookup, if someone reached out to us and said, "Hey, do you guys want to go?" I know that I feel like our person that helps us with like is the one who gets us comic conventions out here when to like we're going to go do New York, you know. She had one of her clients go to out to Dubai to do a, maybe that's the one they went out to something out that way.
yeah,
And she said but again, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. So, you
Michael
know,
Rooker.
it's a big, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he
Yeah,
came
I
two
didn't know.
years ago.
He did, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have the same person is Rooker. So, yeah, I didn't want to say because I wasn't sure, like, you know, but either way. But yeah, so then, you know, so yeah, and she said he loved it and he had a blast. So, um, but again, Kevin and mine's always fierce because we've never done things out there, so we don't know like if we got there and the people are like, who are these two guys? I don't know these guys, you know, I don't know.
No, I
So
personally feel like Jay and Silent Bob are very, very popular. I think you guys would be very welcomed over here.
all right, well, I'm gonna tell her, I'm gonna ask her, and that's good to know because I know she must have the promoter's number because she got Rooker there. So I'll
Yeah.
find out if they're still doing it and see this if one of these next year or two if they can get us out there. That would be fun.
So MFCC, if you're watching this, please bring Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith.
Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm willing.
And
I'm ready.
the topic of uh comic book culture also, I was wondering if you got the chance to watch Deadpool and Wolverine anytime soon. Because
No,
I
it's so
know your
funny because
character always talked about Wolverine in those movies and
100% that's yeah, my sorry I cut you off, but yeah, my daughter's named after Wolverine and 100% I really want to see the movie. I'm very excited to see the movie. All my friends keep asking me, they're like, I can't believe you haven't seen it. But and I even asked my wife, I'm like, I know, and my daughter, I said, look, I'm I want to go see it so bad. I might bring my daughter to go see it, but I'm like, the cursing, I was like, maybe I could cover it, but I'm like, I don't think she'll like the violence. I don't know if and then me and the wife were like, it's a silly idea. I thought for one sec I really wasn't gonna bring her because I know it. I don't think, but again, for one second, I'm like, maybe you can go, but I can like hold your ears from the curse. I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna have to wait till it's at home, and you know, otherwise, like, you know, I probably could when she's at school now. Of course, like it came out when she wasn't at school, but I probably could go see it now. I probably should look. I bet it's in some theaters locally and stuff, and I should go see it and not wait till it comes out um on streaming because
yeah,
it won't be the same. I feel like not getting
it
I
is
want
worth
to
a
see
watch.
it in the big screen. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean I have friends who have gone to see it like 3 times, like, you know, so
yeah. I've seen it 3 times, or probably
you
4 times.
have, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
I
heard
even
it's
went to the Dubai
amazing.
premiere. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
And I understand you started doing stand-up comedy. You mentioned that earlier also. And you've started doing
Yeah.
stand-up comedy more often now, which I think is such a brilliant choice because who would not want to see the legendary Jason Mewes on stage?
Uh,
And I was just wondering what made you want to start doing stand-up comedy and what fueled your passion into doing this?
yeah, you know, it's I feel like it started mainly part of it is because, you know, we Kevin and I toured forever with the Get Old show, and we were already getting on stage and telling stories and things like that. And then there was a few times, then I started at some of the comic conventions, you know, they would be like, hey, we scheduled you at this convention to do a panel on Saturday. And mainly when I do them at the cons, it's a Q&A type of thing. But as I was doing it more and more, I realized I was getting better, like Kevin is. Because in the beginning, like I'd get so nervous being on stage, even when I did the movies for, you know, it's been what, 20, whatever, 30 years. I mean, 30 years we've been doing it. But even for the last, you know, 20 years, first 20 years, when I would get on stage with Kevin at a Q&A or something, people would be like, hey, Jay, you know, what's your favorite movie? I'd be like, Mallrats, you know, and then that's it. And I realized I'd watch Kevin and there's an art form to being like, hey, I'm going to tell people Mallrats, but this is why I like Mallrats and blah, 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 and at least give a good answer. And it took me forever to sort of get better at that because I would get so nervous that I was going to not say the correct thing or whatever. Eventually, I started getting better and better at it with Kevin. And then we did the podcast and I got better and better. And then, you know, I started doing solo shows at the comic conventions and such. So eventually I just was like, you know, one of the comedy clubs that we've done the podcast and worked with was like, hey, we have an open night. Someone left, someone didn't show up or can't come. And we have one show to fill. Will you come and do the show? And I was like, yeah, like, let's do it. And they're like, yeah, it's 40, you know, you just need to fill 45 minutes and do whatever you want to do. So yeah, I mean, I just started trying it, man. And they invited me. I went and did it. I feel like I got to like 40 minutes and it was really, I was like really worried and stuff, but I had some stories to tell. And I just was like, hey, I had fun. Can you get the guy? I was like, can I come back to go to one of your other clubs? And then they booked another show and I booked another one nighter. And then it became like, hey, we could do 2 shows. And anyway, but yeah, I just sort of wanted to try it out and someone fill a spot for someone. And I just enjoyed it. And I just felt like, all right, I want to try to do longer. And I want to try to do more shows. And then we just started booking them. And I realized like, wow, like this is fun. I like it. And like, I could travel and do this and not have to wait on like, you know, because before that, it'd be like, all right, well, Kevin and I do this thing together. So I got to wait and see like Kevin's filming this movie, whatever, for someone else or doing this TV show, the Flash TV show. So he's busy for the next 2 months. What am I going to do? So it just sort of started as that. I feel like I just sort of tried it out and I enjoyed it. And I realized like, hey, this is something I enjoy and I want to get better at it. And I'm still working on it, man. 3 years later, honestly, it's like, I realized like I got to a good point after that first time and second time and third. And I got a good like 50 minutes to an hour show that I had really, I feel like was good stories. And I put them together. So they, you know, it sort of flowed and I didn't have to ask a question because, you know, in the beginning, what I would do is I would tell a story or two and then I would open it up for Q&A. And then I would just try to really take those answers and make them last a long time. And then I got better and better to where like, it was like, you know, 10 minutes with Q&A, then 20 minutes with Q&A, half hour. And then anyway, so, but I'm saying even after I got to where I didn't do Q&A and I just did full on talking, you know, I had the same show for a good year and a half, 2 years. And I didn't realize after I got better at being on stage, I didn't realize how, you know, how hard for me anyway, not for everyone, but I'm saying how hard it was for me to like change up a story and put something new there and make it make sense with the rest. And like, you know, like piecing this, because I didn't want to just throw another story in, but it went from like, you know, hey, I brought my, you know, my kid came out of the room and told me to fuck off or whatever. And then talk about having sex with my wife or blah, blah, blah. It has to sort of make sense. And it took me a while to really sort of piece together things to be like, all right, well, here, you know, I talked about this. Now I want to talk about my kids. You know, I had my first kid when I was 40 years old, whatever. Anyway, so that's sort of how it started. And again, I enjoy it, and I'm just trying to make it better and better because I actually, again, it seems like it's what I've been doing more than anything else. I've been doing less comic conventions. I mean, I haven't done shit. I'm hoping we're gonna do the Jay and Bob movie soon. I'm not sure when, but like besides that, like it stinks. I had a movie I was gonna direct, and I was gonna act in an little indie, well, not little, but an indie movie, and the strike happened, and so
Yeah,
then the financing fell out for the movie. The financing fell out for the movie I was gonna direct, but I'm just saying it to me. It seems for me, it's been harder and harder to like get those to be in movies and act in movies because it seems like there's like Deadpool, Wolverine, like $200 million movie, or it's like Netflix original or Apple whatever. So it's an interesting time. But anyway, reason I'm saying that is like yeah, like it's for me. It really seems like I'm really trying to focus on my comedy shows, getting a bunch of them booked, doing like a tour. But again, I do enjoy them, so it's been great.
that's awesome, man. I want to ask who's your
Yeah,
favorite comedians, if you have any.
favorite comedians. Yeah, you know what? I I really like Chappelle. I mean, I feel like I have like the obvious ones. Like I definitely grew up watching Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor, and then I really, um, you know, so yeah, I would say those are the top three. But again, there's the older ones. Growing up watching those guys, like their specials used to be amazing. Uh, but I never actually went to a lot of comedy shows. But I like Pauly Shore. And again, I'm acquaintances with him, so that's great. But I love watching him. And then my buddy AJ, the guy that used to tour with me, I think he's super funny. AJ Wilkerson. Um, so yeah, my buddy Jake Rubel. But yeah, growing up, I would say Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, um, Jim Carrey, um, and yeah, so those are the guys that I remember when I was younger. Chappelle, later on with Chappelle. Sorry, I gotta see. Really, I had to hit my button on the thing, and my car turned off.
Yeah,
But yeah,
amazing
so
choices.
yeah, I mean, again, and they're really, I don't, I'm not. This is something I do have to. I want to start getting into more, which is part of what I need to do for me, is really try to start finding these other comedians that go out now and post like Bert Kreischer. Like I know who he is, but I've never sat and really watched his comedy shows.
Yeah,
But I want to, like, because I feel like I want to read. Like these are the new guys that are out now and really crushing it and doing their thing. So yeah.
speaking of comedy shows, would you ever want to, would you and Kevin, or you just by yourself, would you want to come back to Impractical Jokers sometimes?
Oh, definitely. I mean, those guys are great. Again, we've known Quinn forever. Quinn used to work at the View Askew. And it's so crazy. I remember when he was like, hey,
Yeah,
one day he was like, I can't come to work. He's like, I'm not, can I have off to, and again, I wasn't his boss, Kevin was, but he's like, can I get off this Friday? Because me and my buddies are pitching a show. And he's like, get out of here. He's like, yeah, we have this idea. We're going to go pitch it. And it was that. And, at the time, it was like, oh, yeah, go pitch your show, whatever. And next thing you know, it's like, I remember like 5 years later, I'm like, holy crap, this is huge. Like, and it's super funny and amazing. But yeah, so for them later on to ask us to come on and be in this episode, it was awesome. Super fun, super fun. So
it really came into a full circle moment that he
yeah,
worked for
yeah,
you guys and then you guys came into their show. I really love that show, man.
yeah.
It was like
No, it
a
was
words
really,
collide moment for me because I love Impractical Jokers and Jay and Silent
yeah.
Bob. And to see them on the
Oh,
200th episode, that was so much
yeah.
fun. And so funny
Awesome.
too.
Awesome. Yeah.
And also, honestly, you have such a unique and fun filmography. I was just wondering what was the film you had the most fun working in out of your entire
The
filmography?
well, I always say Mallrats, and I definitely have had a lot of fun doing Jay and Bob Strikes Back, and and Zach and Mira was nice because it was a different character, and it was with Kevin, but a different character and all that. But Mallrats just will always stand out for me because even though it wasn't the first movie, you know, Clerks, of course, is the first movie we did. But when we did Clerks, like, I was just a kid who was like, I didn't want to act. I didn't have any, I had no dream of being an actor or being in movies or anything. So when I was on set, I was so nervous, and like it's all I would think about is I'm going to mess up. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to be horrible. So I didn't really get to enjoy it. And even when we were done, it wasn't like, I just went back to my everyday life, putting roofs on houses and delivering pizza. Because Kevin took months and months and months to edit the movie and put it together and get it to where it was. And then he started going to film festivals to try to sell it and all that. So I just didn't even think about it for like a couple of years, and then all of a sudden Kevin's like, the movie got bought by Miramax, it's going to be on 100 screens and all that. And I was like, cool. I still was like, all right, maybe some people will go see it. It's going to be on 100 screens, all that. But then he's like, I got a deal where we're going to do another movie. Yeah. So I just remember him being like, we're going to be doing these other movies and it's going to be a studio movie. And I was like, get out of here, and I was super nervous, but like, then all of a sudden I'm 19 years old. I'm out in Minnesota, and I'm working with Shannon Doherty and Priscilla Barnes, and holy crap, I get to meet Stan Lee, which was so surreal because again, I grew up, Kevin and I started like reading comic books and talking about comics with Kevin and Walter and Brian from Comic Book Men, at 13, 14 years old. And, 5 years later, I'm getting to meet Stan Lee. And I'm like, anyway, and I just remember running around the mall and there's stunt guys and wardrobe. And, we're in a mall and Jason Lee was such a nice guy and Ethan Suplee. And I just had so much fun. And it was so surreal to be like, oh my God, I'm making a studio movie. I'm like, holy crap, here it is. It's Friday. They're giving me my per diem, which was like cash for the spending money for the week. And I was like, this is crazy. You're giving me $300 just to like for food and fun. And anyway, it was honestly a lot of fun, and just so surreal for me and unbelievable. So I always say Mallrats because again, it really is the most memorable and most fun and nostalgic, and just it was a blast. But then again, don't get me wrong, later on I had fun that one night on doing Chasing Amy afterwards. Dogma was a blast out in Pittsburgh with Chris Rock and all them. And then Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back was really fun out in CBS Radford studios in California. So I got to spend like months and months in California, and I hadn't been here, except for like once for like a couple days, and it was pretty surreal and awesome. So, but still, Mallrats is really the main one that stands out to me.
That is so nice to
Sorry,
hear. I was gonna say that is so nice to hear that Mallrats is the most fun you had working on a movie, because I really love Mallrats and I even got like 2 copies of the movie over here.
nice.
It's one of my favorite
Yeah,
movies of all time.
yeah,
I
nice.
guess this is pretty much it for this interview. It's really nice speaking to you, man, and thank
You
you so
too.
much for taking the time out of your day. This is such an incredible opportunity, man. This means the absolute world. And
I love it, man.
yeah,
Thank
be
you.
sure to
No, well,
subscribe
thank
and hit
you.
that like button too.
Yes, you heard him. Subscribe. Oh, yeah, to yours. And anyone
Yeah,
watching,
and for you
subscribe.
too.
Press the bell. Do all this. Yeah.
Yeah,
But dude, I appreciate it. And hopefully, like you said, if we can, we'll see what happens. Maybe we can get Kevin and I come out to do the comic convention, or maybe I could get out there and do some stand-up. I don't know, but I'd be down. It'd be interesting, So anyway, but keep in touch. I'll see you on my stream. I'll see you on
yeah,
Twitch.
man.
If
I'll
you don't
stay in
mind
touch
too,
with
at
you.
the end of if you could put my social and stuff on,
Yeah,
on
totally.
my JayMewes.com. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, man. Good talking to you,
Stay
brother.
in touch, man.
You have a great day. Thank you.
You
Thank you.
too.